no-nonsense Scottish Presbyterian family where a spade was called a shovel, and empathy and sentimentality were often viewed as weaknesses, I like to think my upbringing has made me pragmatic and thick-skinned, a coper and a realist. When it comes to matters of life and death, I harbour no misconceptions, and in discussing them I try to be honest and truthful, but that doesn't mean I don't care, and it doesn't make me immune to pain and grief or unsympathetic to that of others. What I do not have is a maudlin sentimentality about death and the dead. As Fiona, our inspirational chaplain at Dundee University, puts it so eloquently, there is no comfort to be had from soft words spoken at a safe distance. With all our 21st century sophistication, why do we still opt to take cover behind familiar, safe walls of conformity and denial, rather than opening up to the idea that maybe death is not the demon we fear? She doesn't need to be lurid, brutal, or rude. She can be silent, peaceful, and merciful. Perhaps the answer is that we don't trust her because we don't choose to get to know her, to take the trouble in the course of our lives to try to understand her. If we did, we might learn to accept her as an integral and fundamentally necessary part of our life's process. We view birth as the beginning of life and death as its natural end. But what if death is just the beginning of a different phase of existence? This, of course, is the premise of most religions, which teach us that we should not fear death, that it is merely the gateway to a better life beyond. Such beliefs have brought solace to many through the ages, and perhaps the vacuum left by the increasing secularization of our society has contributed to the resurgence of an ancient, instinctive but unsubstantiated aversion to death and all its trappings. Whatever we believe, life and death are unquestionably, inextricably bound parts of the same continuum. One does not and cannot exist without the other, and no matter how much modern medicine strives to intervene, death will ultimately prevail. Since there is no way we can ultimately prevent it, perhaps our time would be better spent focusing on improving and savouring the period between our birth and our death, our life. Herein lies one of the fundamental differences between forensic pathology and forensic anthropology. Forensic pathology seeks evidence of a cause and manner of death, the end of the journey, whereas forensic anthropology reconstructs the life led, the journey itself, across the full span of its duration. Our job is to reunite the identity constructed during life with what remains of the corporeal form in death. So forensic pathology and anthropology are partners in death and, of course, in crime. In the UK, anthropologists, unlike pathologists, are scientists rather than doctors, and are therefore unlikely to be medically qualified to certify a death or the cause of death. In these days of ever-expanding scientific knowledge, pathologists cannot be expected to be experts in everything, and the anthropologist has an important role to play in the investigation of serious crimes involving a death. Forensic anthropologists assist in unravelling the clues associated with the identity of the victim and may aid the pathologist to reach his or her final decisions about the manner and cause of death. Each discipline brings its own complementary and specific skills to the mortuary table. One such mortuary table, for example, a pathologist and I were faced with human remains in an advanced state of decomposition. The skull was shattered into over 40 jumbled fragments. As the medically qualified practitioner, her remit was to determine the cause of death, and she was pretty sure it was going to be gunshot injury. But she needed to be certain. Surveying with dismay the multitude of fragments of white bone on the grey metal tabletop, she said, "I can't identify all the pieces, let alone try to stick them together. That's your job." The forensic anthropologist's role is first to help establish who the person may have been in life. Were they male or female, tall or short, old or young, black or white? Does the skeleton show evidence of any injuries or disease that might be linked to medical or dental records? Can we extract information from bones, hair, and nails about their composition, which might tell us where the person was living and the type of food they ate? And in this case, could we undertake a three-dimensional human jigsaw puzzle?